Hey, everybody. Welcome to Takeoff with John Clark, presented by Rivers Casino. And we have a very special guest to talk about Sixers-Knicks and a great project that Kenny Smith is involved in, getting an expansion team for the NBL. This is pretty cool. The great Kenny Smith, we appreciate you joining us. I know you're from Queens, New York, so probably a Knicks fan growing up. How wild has this series been?
They're still alive, brother. They're still alive, and they did a great job. Philadelphia did an unbelievable job of understanding that miracles, not even miracles, great things happen in the playoffs if you continue to play the game out. You cannot look at the score, 26 seconds, down 6. Tyrese Maxey comes in. The Garden is famous and infamous for team comebacks. Reggie Miller all the way to now. And Tyrese Maxey just etched his name in as one of the Knick killers in Knick history.
I love that you went there with the Reggie Miller comparison, because that's exactly what it reminded me of. What do you think this does for Tyrese Maxey's spot in the NBA now, dropping 46 in the Garden and 7 points in the span of 17 seconds there to tear the Knicks' heart out?
Yeah, unbelievable. I think the one thing that, everything that could have gone right for Philadelphia went right. Everything that could have gone wrong for the Knicks went wrong. Okay, maybe we can give up a 3, but we can't foul. Okay, we foul and give up the 3. Okay, maybe we could, we come down the other end. We make 2 free throws, we win. But if we make 1, we keep them in the game. We only make 1. We keep them in the game. Every possible scenario. The kids are, like, you hear people always joke about, there's scripts in pro sports. Last night I had to double back and be like, did I get a script? Like, this is unbelievable.
And it's really amazing the progression Tyrese Maxey has made each year after being a draft pick at 21 in the first round. Like, to re-ask the question, where do you think this puts him in the NBA now as a guy who can take over a playoff game on the road like that?
Well, I think, obviously having Joel Embiid back gives him a lot more freedom. Joel Embiid creates the freedom that he has. And, we saw that when Joel went out, how the team really struggled despite how great he was. So the ability to play with another great player and be really productive, he's shown that. And it's interesting because an interesting story I have about him, he works out in Los Angeles. And he was with Sam Cassell was the assistant coach at the time with the Philadelphia 76ers. So he's working out at a gym where I have a son that plays high school basketball. He's working out. And we get there about maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and Tyrese is finishing his workout, and Sam is like, yeah, man, this guy works really hard. I'm looking at him. I'm like, yeah, he's working hard, but so what, Sam? Like, everyone works hard. He's like, no, Kenny, this is his 3rd workout today. I'm like, 3rd workout? It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, we got up at 6. We did another one at 9, and this is the 3rd one ending at 1. So his ability to work so hard, I got to see firsthand. And it really actually sparked a light under my son. I'm like, here's an NBA player doing 3 workouts before 1. This is your first one of the day.
That is a great story. And he, of course, learned that from his parents, his dad, who was his coach and is a coach. It's interesting when you watch these games, Joel Embiid, in most of the games, he's looked pretty good for the first half or 3 quarters, and then he just runs out of gas. And he had to play 48 minutes last night. Do you think that everything should run through Tyrese now, with Joel battling through so many things?
I think it has to run through maybe at the end of the game at times. But Joel is such a force that you have to guard him on every position. The great thing about playing with Joel for Tyrese is a great one-on-one basketball player. And he gets to play one-on-one. He doesn't get double teamed. You play with Joel, you can't get double teamed, because if you leave Joel Embiid under the basket, it's too much. So a great one-on-one player gets to play one-on-one.
And with those 48 minutes that Joel had to play, what are you thinking about Game 6? Because he doesn't have that extra day like he had in between some of the games.
Well, I think he doesn't have the extra day, but I think overall, he's been serviceable. And the thing that like I said, he's able to create the double team. So his ability to create the double team has allowed everyone and allowed Tyrese, and he even allowed, I think last night, even not only him, but Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris to kind of get back into an offensive flow, which hopefully for the Sixers fan will carry over going into Philly.
And Kenny, we have loved watching your Inside the NBA show, every night. And of course, you've won 2 championships in the NBA, but now your biggest moment, your most viral moment is you tripping, falling, whatever you want to call it, slipping, going up the stairs. Isn't it crazy in our social media world what blows up these days?
Different from falling and tripping. I tripped, I didn't fall.
That's right. You actually put your hand down. You kind of blocked your fall. Okay. Right.
It's hilarious because the night before it was Sunday night, right? So we always race to the board. We always race to the board, and it's funny. For years, no one's ever fell, and we've always talked about falling or whatever. No one's ever fell. So it's Sunday, and I go, guys, Sunday's a day of rest. We gotta relax. And so, but I sprint out, and Ernie goes, God's gonna get you for that. And so the very next day, I fall, and Ernie was like, see, I told you, you can't mess with God on Sunday. And there it was. So it was my little reminder that it's bigger than me.
Great. And of course, then the next show, they have the chalk outline of you. I was thinking maybe they would have a statue, of you, like the Rocky statue here in Philly.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what, I think that might end. It might have indirectly ended all the racing, because we all at some point of the years of doing this think about falling, because those steps are super high, they're super slippery, because it's actually like vinyl on there to make it look glossy and make it look pretty. So it's super slippery, super high, and we always in the back of our mind think we could actually fall. So I think this is kind of put the rest, maybe the race to the board on Inside the NBA.
You might have to do a walk to the board now, huh? Or
100% speed walk.
And Kenny, you're going to own an expansion team in the NBL. We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to ask you, being a guy from Queens, when you see all these Knicks fans come down to Philadelphia and take over the Wells Fargo Center, what do you think the Sixers have to do for Game 6? Should they try to buy all these other tickets that are still up on the ticket sites and give them to Sixers fans? How can they prevent this?
It's impossible, because they're all on the sites, and there's a lot of people who buy season tickets who cannot, one, maybe possibly can't go, or two, know that they could get extra money by having their tickets on these sites. And so you have no clue if the person's from New York City or not who's buying it. They're just happy that they're tripling the price of their actual ticket cost. So it's impossible to stop. Knicks fans are just relentless. And if you know New Yorkers, as you guys know in Philly, if it's only 3 of us, we're loud. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 3,000 or 3. You're gonna have the same energy, the same obnoxiousness. I always say about New Yorkers, you hear us before you see us.
You are so right. Any restaurant that I go to in New York, even if there's not a lot of people there, they are screaming at each other. They can't have like a level, normal conversation.
No. So it doesn't matter. It's not, honestly, I don't even know if it's the amount of New Yorkers there. I think it's just the loudness of the people that are there, and they're really in one section, and so they've been able to kind of infiltrate and be in around the same area.
You are so right. And it's interesting. I've never seen this, because it's usually Eagles fans and Phillies fans and sometimes Sixers fans taking over on the road. But you've got Dawn Staley, you've got Dr. J, we heard Charles. They're all imploring and trying to get the Philly fans to not sell their tickets and rallying all the Philly fans. Hopefully it works.
Well, you know what? The funny thing you did say that about, I've gone to an Eagles game on the road, and I've watched them on the road in Los Angeles take over an arena in Los Angeles. So you guys understand what that's about. Yo, guys, if you travel well, I think Phillies fans are great, probably top 5 sports fans in the world. But I don't know if they travel all the time in basketball. They do travel in football, but I don't know if they travel in basketball, and that's the difference. Knicks fans, they travel. They travel, and it starts with obviously the number one Knicks fan of all time probably started was when Spike Lee used to travel to Indiana, and they were telling fans to not sell tickets to Spike. He was getting his front row seats when he was playing 3 times more. So, I think that's kind of where that whole mentality of we travel started.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, it's going viral today. You've got Tracy Morgan flipping the bird to Tyrese Maxey. You've got, I mean, you see like John Stewart, he has this his soul left his body after Tyrese's shot, and Ben Stiller. I mean, New Yorkers are hurting today, huh?
I mean, not only hurting, but only a New Yorker would flip off someone in the middle of the game. Like, who does that at you're in celebrity row. The guy hits a great shot and you flip him off. Not even excited. Like, there's no level of excitement as a sports fan that you really truly have anger that the guy hit the shot. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It has created a lot of memes. When you watch this series, Kenny, it is so evenly matched, and it could possibly go 7 games. Where would you rank this series so far with these series and maybe in years past? Because it's pretty incredible to me.
Well, I think, last night's game was the game that kind of separated itself from being a regular series. Now down 3-2, coming back to Philadelphia. That's the beauty of, what they did down 3-1. Because a lot of times you could win 3-2, but you're still going back on the road. Like, you won this game at home, and then you got to go on the road for game 6. Where here, you're coming back home. So there's a lot of confidence. There's going to be a lot of energy and a lot of excitement. And I cannot wait to see, because Philly fans, they might not travel, but they're loud and obnoxious.
Hey, celebrity cook Steve Martirano is bringing his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly, where it started. Enjoy Martirano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. So make reservations for Martirano's Prime on Open Table. I've been to the one in Fort Lauderdale. I'm glad it's back in Philly. 9 o'clock start. You're going to have another late night on TNT. Who are you picking for this game 6?
Well, I think, I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think this is a game where I think Joel Embiid actually has a big game. The one thing about the Knicks, they have a big, what you have to be wary of is they have a big contingency of Philadelphia guys, so to speak, Villanova guys. So they have guys who are from that area who play comfortably in the environment of Philadelphia. They're not afraid of being in that gym. DiVincenzo, Hart, and obviously Jalen Brunson. So that big contingency of Philadelphia could hurt you, but I would say Philly comes out with game 6.
Wow, so you got this going 7 games. Is there anything else you would change? Last night we saw Cam Payne get some more minutes over Kyle Lowry. Do you think they should continue with that?
I think that's a play by ear because, Kyle Lowry at this stage of his career in this kind of environment is going to be really good one day, maybe not as good the other because of, he just doesn't have the youth exuberance to stay in that realm all the time. But so I would just play it by ear. Cam has done a great job. Kyle has done a great job. I don't think it's one playing poorly. I think it's one playing great.
And last night we saw the Sixers have more offensive rebounds and they were working it. So Is that the big key coming back to Philly? Because we saw what happened in game 4 where the Knicks had all those offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. They just have to keep the Knicks off the offensive boards and the Sixers need to control the rebounding.
Yes, I think for me, I would go. I think offensively at times they're going to need Joel in the post to score um, to win this series because once he scores in the post, he creates double teams all over the floor. Because now you got to come at him at the 3-point lines as he starts backing guys in. You got to come on the post and double team him. So for me, I'm interested to see Joel Embiid and his scoring prowess. If that would make a big difference.
So you're kind of saying Joel is the opener where he establishes himself in the post and then Tyrese can be the closer?
Tyrese could be your Mario Ravana. Mario Ravana. So, and that's a Yankee reference, so I don't even know if I should use that.
Mariano Rivera.
Rivera, yeah. I don't know if I should use the Rivera reference in Philly right now.
It's okay. You're a New York guy. You're allowed to.
All right.
Kenny, after watching this series for, 5 games, if I were to say, Kenny Smith, you're drafting players on the Sixers and Knicks, give me your top 4 in order that you would take and draft for an expansion team, because I've had a lot of arguments going Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Maxey. So give me your 1, 2, 3, 4 in order that you would draft and take as the best players in this series.
I'm going to draft Joel Embiid number 1, regardless. Like that is always going to be. He's the best player when he's healthy on both teams.
All right, but when he's not healthy, like he's not now, and he's hobbled, do you still go with him? He's
still a difference maker because, like I said, I think his ability to be on the floor has created the ability for Tyrese Maxey to flourish. We've seen, like I said, when he went out, the record of the Philadelphia 76ers. I think his ability to kind of create that. So Joel Embiid would be 1. Man,
it's a tough one.
Yeah, I would probably say this, and this is not a shot at him. I would probably go with Jalen Brunson at 2, because I'm not sure. I always look at it if we swap players. If Tyrese Maxey was on this Knicks team, would the Knicks team be this good? I'm not sure. But I know that if Jalen Brunson was on the Philadelphia 76ers, you'd be that good. And so that's where I'd lean toward Jalen Brunson, because he's proven that he could take a team without and being the best player and not being the second fiddle to the levels that he's taking them.
That's a good point. Okay, so then you'd take Tyrese 3. I'm guessing that, and who would be your 4th?
And my 4th player on that team, on the 2 teams, would be, even though he's not having the best series, I would have to probably take Tobias Harris over Josh Hart, only because Tobias Harris has the ability to run an offense through for 7 to 8 minutes when someone's hurt on your team, where Josh Hart is more of a complementary player that plays great in his complementary role. He plays better in his complementary role than Tobias does in his, but I might need you in an 82-game series to take over a game and run the offense through you.
Well, Tobias finally had a good game in game 5, so Sixers fans will probably lay off him a little bit. And Kenny, you do such a great job as an ambassador with basketball and bringing up the youth into the game. And this is a great thing that you're doing. You're going to become an owner of an expansion team with the NBL, and you're going to recruit players and grow players. Let me know why you got involved with this and continue to, get the roots of the game going with kids and stuff like that.
Well, it's the NBL, which is the Australian Professional Basketball League, and it's the Next Stars program. And honestly, it took me a second to wrap my head around, making sure that players who do not want to go to college and they want to be pros right away. 10 years ago, this thought process, I would have probably said, I'll pass on. But in today's climate within the NIL and players saying that they want to be pros early, I figured that I could help not only with the NBL and being part of the ownership group, but being part of the portal system. I'm part of the portal system that helps players from North America get to be a pro faster. And in the NBL, what we have said and, we've really discussed is we're the only league that we want you to lead and be redrafted. And if you think about it, in the last, 5 years, we've had just as many in the NBL, just as many draft picks that were lottery picks as college basketball. And this year, Sar is going to be one of them. He's there now. LaMelo was probably the first. LaMelo Ball was first. You had Josh Giddey. All of these guys played in this league prior to being drafted in the NBA. And the great thing about it, what I always said, is that we always didn't put them all on one team. We're not putting them on one team. We kind of spread them out throughout the league, which allows them to grow with guys and have consequences for winning. That's the difference between putting 12 guys on a team that are just trying to get drafted. There's no consequences for losing and no consequences for winning. Well, when you put them with other players who their livelihood is to be an Australian basketball player in the NBL, there's consequences, and they play differently, they play smarter, they play harder, and they play together. And my job is also to make sure that there's programming for them to get ready for the league.
Well, that is a great explanation. And the National Basketball League is going to keep growing because you see more and more guys coming into the NBA from there. And there's nobody better that could do this than you with everything you do for the game. So congrats on that.
Thank you. And the league is not for everyone. There are certain people saying, man, I want to grow up and I want to go to this university. I grew up and I dreamed about playing here. But if you're what I call the Serena Williams, there's no reason for you to go play tennis at Stanford. You're Serena Williams. You need to come and learn how to be a pro as fast as you can. And those are the kids that we're targeting and we want to bring in.
That's fantastic. And we wish you the best with that. And we look forward to the Sixers-Knicks. I guess you're saying 2 more games on TNT. Who you think's taking the series?
Man, in 7, I'm still going to go with those Knicks, but I think it is going 7.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we got to go in 7. Kenny Smith, keep up the great work on TNT. And you guys do such a great job. And we'll look forward to the walk to the screen now.
The light jog.
The light jog. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the NBL as well.
Thank you, brother.